welcome. You're watching Times Now and I am Riya Girthar. From bringing back priceless Chola era copper plates to reintroducing the Buddha relics, Prime Minister Modi has showcased India's civilizational heritage on a global stage. And India's cultural story has been a very important part of India's growth story as we speak, sir. Talking about the same, joining me today is the Secretary to Government of India, Ministry of Culture, Mr. Vivek Aggarwal, to discuss how India is preserving its past while building its cultural future. Thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much.
Sir, Prime Minister Modi recently described the return of Chola-era copper plates from the Netherlands as a moment of national pride. What does the successful repatriation of these artifacts signify for India's broader cultural mission?
It has been a consistent effort and a leadership that Honorable Prime Minister has provided in ensuring that the objects which are very important for India's national heritage, which have been taken away from India either in a stolen manner or in a manner which is not consistent with the legal processes, they are restored back to the country. And as part of this process, as you rightly mentioned, in his recent visit to Netherlands, the government of Netherlands presented the Chola era copper plates which have been repatriated to India. Since 2014, since he took over as Prime Minister, more than 650 objects have been repatriated to India, and some of them are really priceless, and they are connected to our heritage, which is something really important and a matter of pride for our country to get the restoration. Apart from the copper plates from Netherlands, we also get a repatriation of Buddha's relic jewels, which had been taken away in 1898 by William Claxton Pepe, the then British estate manager. And after 127 years, the Buddha's relics and the jewel relics were united together and put up in the exhibition, which was inaugurated by Honorable Prime Minister. So it has been a consistent effort, and under his leadership, we have been very successful in exhorting all the countries in which our stolen and our heritage which has been taken away from our country is there, and a successful repatriation movement is going on in a very consistent manner for last 12 years.
All right. As you just talked about repatriation, so the return of antiquities has accelerated dramatically over the past few years. What has changed in India's approach to tracing, negotiating, and bringing back these stolen cultural treasures?
The most important thing is how we prioritize our diplomacy. So in the diplomatic setup, repatriation has really taken a very high priority under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister. And since it's a high priority, all our missions across the world, the Indian missions, they take it as one of their primary works. So whenever there is any information or any sighting of any object which has a connect to India and which has been illegally taken out, there is a consistent effort by our missions. It is supported by the experts from the Archaeological Survey of India and Ministry of Culture. We also take help from the state police, where there are registered cases and there is a tracing that is done. Then we also have used technology, because these objects have old photographs which are there in India. So we track those pictures, and these pictures are then, by use of technology, we prove that a particular object is actually the same object that has been taken away from India. And once we give that proof, the process of repatriation in collaboration with the host country starts. Yeah. And we have been able to do lots of good work under the mutual legal assistance, as well as under the mutual agreements, and also the diplomacy that is done by our missions to get successful repatriations.
So when we look at the last 12 years, what would you describe as the single biggest shift in the way culture is viewed within the broader vision of Naya Bharat?
So culture is now being viewed as not only a work of preservation and conservation of our heritage for our own self. It is now our soft power that is being spread all across the world. It may be the International Yoga Day, which brought yoga to the center stage internationally. It may be the various festivals that we organize all around the world. It may be the relics of Lord Buddha, which travel to various parts of the world where they are received as heads of the states. It may be our project Mausam and our project Brihatar Bharat, where we are trying to connect the Indian global relationship through heritage, both the built heritage as well as the intangible heritage. So this connect is allowing us to prove the connect of Indian civilization and the spread of thoughts and the ideas and knowledge systems from Bharat to the rest of the world. So the concept that the ideas and thoughts came from outside and came to India is being reversed now. The wisdom and knowledge that went out of this land and was spread across the world is now being proven and is now being showcased and is being recognized by various communities across the globe and various countries across the globe. And the entire narrative of India as a unifier, India as a country which spreads peace and which spreads the message of culture and which is a uniting factor is gaining a lot of ground under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister.
Right. An extremely important question, sir, that we need to talk about. The light and the lotus, relics of the awakened one, attracted global attention. Why was this exhibition extremely important, not only culturally but diplomatically also?
See, Bharat is land of Buddha. Buddha actually gained enlightenment on this land and then finally spread the message across the world, and the message of peace, the spiritual awakening and the message of non-violence to a large extent was spread by Lord Buddha across the world. India being the custodian of Buddha's legacy, the responsibility also falls on India to protect the legacy of Buddha and to make sure that the legacy spreads from this land itself. So this particular exhibition and the whole process of repatriation of Buddha's relics is so important, not only to protect India's cultural heritage, but also to protect the Buddha's international heritage. So it was viewed all across the Buddhist world that it is something that India has taken up, which is preservation of the Buddhist thought and the Buddhist ideology, and it has stopped the commercialization of Buddha's relics. Because if they had been auctioned or sold, it would have really diminished the entire spiritual thought process that has been brought in by Buddha, and it would have been a great shock to the entire Buddhist community across the world. So the step that India took under the leadership of Honorable Prime Minister, we were successful in stopping the auction first, using legal measures, then getting the relics back very quickly back to India, and then putting them in a beautiful display for the entire world to see the importance of these relics and also the entire narrative and story of Lord Buddha's life and his teachings through the eyes of the light and lotus. So it has been a remarkable achievement, and it is something which is being viewed as a great success of India's entire endeavor to do preservation, to work on preservation and conservation of our own cultural heritage and cultural heritage which actually belongs to the whole world.
When we talk about the whole world, we ought to talk about the global recognition that India has received over the past few years. And a huge series of UNESCO recognitions across heritage sites, intangible traditions, and documented heritage. Beyond prestige, what tangible impact do these global endorsements have for India? And do these recognitions also change the way Indians themselves engage with value and their own heritage and their own culture?
No, it's an extremely valuable thing that when a site in India is declared as a World Heritage Site, or an element of intangible heritage of India is represented in the list, the nominated list of UNESCO, it's a recognition in the world. It also brings to the notice of visitors and people who are interested to come to India about the important sites of India. It also unites Indian agencies, the state government agencies, the municipal bodies, the central government agencies, to take better care of this heritage. It also creates awareness among citizens of India, both from the point of view of visits, learning about these sites, having a tourist and a visitor experience, for students and researchers to know about the history and the universal value of these assets. But the most important is that these nominated and declared World Heritage Sites and the elements, the intangible elements, also become a responsibility of the country to preserve for the future generations. Right. So the entire policy of preservation and conservation becomes streamlined and a multi-dimensional, takes a multi-dimensional form. So it is extremely important, and India has been doing really well. We have now 44 World Heritage Sites, right, and we are adding one each every year. But the most important is that we are now looking at multinational nominations, which don't have a limitation of one per year. So we can actually add many more World Heritage Sites through multinational nominations. And it will also bring our neighbors and countries which are connected to India through tangible and intangible heritage to come closer with us and work together with us for these multinational nominations.
One last question, sir. As India is moving towards 2047, what would success look like for the cultural sector?
So the most important aspect is that along with the preservation and conservation of our cultural heritage, we also look at the impact on livelihoods and the impact of this sector on the growth of India and also contribution to the GDP of India. So the entire focus now is that on the one side, when we look at preservation and conservation, the other side of it, that is the livelihoods and contribution to GDP, also becomes our focus area. So 2047, when India would be amongst the most developed countries of the world, hopefully even before that, at that time, we are hoping that the contribution of the culture as a sector to GDP would be more than double the current level, and also it would be growing in a way and in a manner that Indian culture and the cultural assets, the performers, the artists, they have an international audience. So it is not only a growth from the perspective of the rupee terms, it's also a growth in terms of exporting the soft cultural power and earning foreign exchange revenue through our performances, through our attractions, through our knowledge dissemination and other aspects of the cultural economy. So we are looking at a great expansion of the cultural economy by 2047.
Culture is often described as the soul of a nation. As India charts its journey towards becoming a developed nation by 2047, the question is not just how we preserve our heritage, but also how we harness it to shape the country. Thank you so much, sir, for joining Times Now. Thank you for watching.